Oh, brilliant, brilliant. Thank you, Karen. Oh, I'm properly excited. So I'm just trying to bring myself down into that kind of, but keep that as well. So I'm Belinda, as Karen just introduced. I'm on the one to many, so I'm part of the on the same adventure as you guys in terms of looking at how I can move my business from one to one to many. I'm going to share my slides because that'll help keep me on track as well. So I'll get my slides up a second. But yeah, agile is my kind of thing. I like to agile everything, if I can, including this talk and including my one-to-many adventure. So I'm looking forward to kind of sharing that with you. So I wanted to give a really sort of brief little introduction. So I've been running my business for like 15 years. I've had a brilliant adventure with that. I've worked with a lot of small businesses, startups to help them to grow, using this methodology called Agile. And Agile comes from the tech sector originally, but through some work, I adapted it and applied it to non-technical. So we're sort of in between here, actually, because a lot of us are doing digital kind of solutions and funnels and things like that, but also we've got those kind of bricks and mortar businesses as well. So I've been doing that. I wrote my book 10 years ago. Pearson asked me to write the book about what I've been doing and how I've been applying it. And I sort of travelled the world, which was fantastic, before the pandemic. And I really joined One to Many because I wanted to look at how I turn the courses and all my sort of knowledge and experience into an evergreen course. So I run a little bit of live already. But really my kind of goal with One to Many is to try and look at how I can kind of move to a more evergreen model. So I like I say, I kind of agile everything. So everything from sort of business, but also home and life as well. So I got long COVID, which floored me for a year. I agiled my way out of that. I was told I'd give up my career, give up riding. And I was like, nah, I'm not giving up riding, definitely not. I sort of agiled my way out of it. So I'm sort of known, I guess, for that kind of applying agile to lots of different things. And I'm based down in Cornwall, and I just snuck in, actually, this was a bit of a last in addition, snuck in a picture of Murphy and Jed, who's my dog and my pony. So that's me. And today, what I want to do is I want to share with you guys how I've been applying Agile to One to Many. Particularly, we're going to have a look at the sort of planning side of it. You might have seen on the in the Facebook group that I've posted a couple of times around the board that I've been using. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight into some of the mindset behind it, a little bit of the theory for the method behind it, and then I'm actually going to show you how I've been applying it in One to Many, and very much following Lisa's process as well. So I'm going to keep the chat open as well, so you can post in questions if you've got them, and also I'll probably fire a couple of questions at you guys as well. So, right. Excuse me. Right. So, take my slides work. So, why did I want to take an agile approach to One to Many? So, I wanted to basically sort of practice what I teach, I guess. But I wanted to use Agile because I wanted to learn and study about the One to Many process. I wanted to work out what my options were in One to Many, and also identify who might be my ideal online client, which is still a work in progress, I've got to admit. But I wanted to keep going, even if I didn't get all the bits done. I wanted to attend all the sessions, make sure I came to the sessions. I wanted a way that I could capture the key points, stay focused on things. As well as doing the course, I actually wanted to try and apply it and test it as we go, which I know lots of us have been doing. And to do that really needed that kind of real-time visibility. So not just a plan, but actually the real-time plan of what's actually happening, so I could keep track of things, look at improving and adapting things, and importantly, being able to go at my own pace. So I have learnt the hard way. And I've learned about sustainable pace, and I needed to do that and also keep going, so keep that momentum going. So hopefully a few of those, do they resonate with you guys? Some of the sort of goals, if you like, and what you want to achieve in one to many. Yeah. That's, so the other reason I wanted to take an agile approach is this. So does this resonate? I can see a few of you on video while I'm sharing the slide. So I can see a couple of smiling faces, and it's usually the first slide in all my trainings, and it usually produces a mixture of kind of laughter and eye rolling, because I think this summarises life, I think, in a lot of ways. You know, what we plan versus actually what happens when we actually get stuck in it. So what we want to do is, by taking an agile approach, we want to be able to respond to change over following that plan. And so today I'm just going to give you a little bit of an insight into how we do that. So, yeah, nice little quote that I often use. It's a Chinese proverb, and it says, "There is chaos under the heavens, and the situation is excellent." So despite this right-hand side, you know, we're all going through change, but actually this change is opportunity for us, and we want to, you know, harness that and make the most of that. So that situation is excellent. So I wanted to show you this little matrix that I use quite a lot. So basically, I'm just giving you a couple of snippets out of some of my training and courses today to give you a bit of an insight. So this matrix I love. Again, on the axes, we've got like close to agreement and far from agreement on what we're doing. And then on the other one, we've got close to certainty or far from certainty on how we're going to do things. Yeah. So when we're down there in simple, we know what we're doing, we know how we're going to do things. We can be fairly predictable, and we can, you know, get things done. But then as we move away from kind of knowing exactly what we're doing, how we're going to do things, and things get more complicated, then they become complex. And then ultimately we've got no idea what we're doing or how we're going to do things. Things are very chaotic. So where I wanted to sort of fire a quick question out to the group, actually, in where do you feel like you are on this matrix at the moment? Where would you put yourself? Let me get the chat open so I can see that as well. Where do you feel like you are? Do you feel like you're down there in simple, or in chaos, in between, somewhere in that complicated or complex? We've got a complex. I don't think people can see the comments in the replay, so I'm gonna, if I shout things out, that's for the benefit of those watching on replay. So complex and chaotic, yeah, complex, chaotic, yeah, up in complex. And we are, you know, this is all new. Again, this is something new. We're doing it for the first time. So, you know, we might have a bit of an idea of what we're doing, how we're going to do things, but we don't have the detail. We don't have that knowledge. We're kind of working it out as we go. And that's what Agile's built for. Agile is built for when we're up there in complex and chaotic. Not necessarily, it's useful when we're down there in simple, but when we're down there in simple, we can take quite a predictive approach. We know what we're doing. We know how we're going to do things. We've done things lots of times before, perhaps. We can get on and do it. We can take that predictive approach. But when we're up there in complex, chaotic, and even in complicated, we need to have more of an adaptive approach. So I'm just going to explain a little bit more about that. And again, yeah, the one thing I would say is, I think, like, coming to one to many, like, has definitely kind of moved me out of that kind of, it's just moved me a little bit more towards simple, because there are aspects, and this is quite a nice kind of thing to think about, is actually if we broke down one to many into post-it notes and stuck them all over this matrix, there'd be some stuff that's down there in simple, there'd be some stuff that's in complicated, some stuff in complex, some stuff in chaotic. But often it only takes a small amount of chaos to make everything feel like chaotic. Yeah. So, we've got some really great stuff through the course that's actually simplified things down, which is great. But not everything can be simplified. Some things are inherently complex, like us, Mother Nature, human beings. We are naturally complex. So that's brilliant. Yeah. So we're all up there in complex and chaotic. It's brilliant. Right. So, um, when we are up there in complex, up there in chaotic, we start hitting challenges. Challenges that we're not used to if we're living in a predictable world. I found this graphic, which I thought was brilliant. It kind of summarized to me. It's it's like how it felt at the beginning of one to many, then when I got started, and then kind of like, oh my gosh, like now I've got started, it feels like this massive thing, because it's new and different, and we don't know what we don't know yet. There are literally these sort of unknown unknowns, so we're discovering as we're going, and it means that then we lose visibility. Our decision making slows down. It's kind of impossible to plan up front because we don't know what we don't know yet, so we have to kind of do it as we go, and then it makes it hard to estimate things that we've never done before. We need to develop new skills and resources. They're removing goalposts. I'm starting things, I'm not finishing things are taking longer, they're costing more, they're taking more energy than I expected to, and things start to feel like they're snowballing. And then on top of that, I'm also trying to manage it with my day to day as well, keep my existing business going, look after my pony, look after my dog, various other things going on. So I'm sure, some of these things are resonating. And so again, what we want to do is we want to take this agile approach, which means that we can respond to these things. So what I'm aiming to do is kind of extend this graphic, if you like. So I've sort of amalgamated a couple of graphics here. So we get to this point, and then, I kind of, this resonates to me after we finish the 12 weeks. I kind of stood back and I'm looking and I'm thinking, whoa, this is a lot, this is a lot going on. So what I want to do is I want to be able to break that down into chunks that are manageable, that I can take one bit at a time. And then I want to break that down even further into little things that I can juggle. So we want to get back to that. So that's the kind of purpose of us taking that agile approach. I will come back to the questions at the end as well, but I am very easily distracted by shiny things. So I'm going to resist that temptation till the end, just to let you know. So when we're down there in simple, if we think about our predictive process, what we'll often, and this is the thing that most people are kind of familiar with, if you like, is that we plan everything up front and then we do it and then we evaluate it at the end. So if you're running a project or you're doing something, you'll tend to plan it up front and do it, then evaluate it at the end. And that works. When we're down there in simple, that works because we know what we're doing, we can do that. But when we're up in chaotic or complex or even complicated, this doesn't work so well anymore. And what Agile does is it basically spins this into a loop. So what we do is we spin this into a loop, and we call this a sprint cycle. And so rather than having, just plan, do, and then reflect at the end, we're now doing our sprint cycle. So if anybody did the consistent content challenge, Lisa talked about running it as a sprint, and she did it like a week, which is a great example of that. And this is what really helps us to be able to respond to change, shift our priority, adjust our approaches, and do things differently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of dive into more of the planning bit today, a little bit of the doing, and not so much of the learning and reflect and review because I haven't got enough time. So we're just going to kind of have a little bit of a snapshot into these. But this is how we really kind of respond. So I did this graphic, which is a little bit kind of, might be a little bit overwhelming, but I talk about running sprints, not marathons. So think of that metaphor, running sprints. This is a marathon, yeah? But, you know, if we try and run this marathon all at once, we're all going to be knackered halfway through, or I would be definitely, unless I'm on my pony, possibly. So we want to think about running sprints, not marathons, breaking that marathon down. So if you think about the process that we had a 12-week course. Each one of those weeks I saw as a sprint. So each of those weeks I was planning, or Lisa was telling me what to do. I was then doing it, and then I was being able to review and reflect and learn from that, and then do the next sprint and the next sprint and the next sprint. So it really broke it into nice bite-sized chunks. And what also that means is that rather than, if I just run it as a marathon, I wouldn't be releasing anything till the end of that marathon. So I wouldn't be able to release anything until the end. Whereas when I'm taking the sprint approach, I can release my work in progress. So early on, I was like releasing my freebie, my ideas for my freebie, getting it out there, testing it, seeing what worked, tweaking it and changing it, my bio, all these different things. So is able to take this kind of sprint approach, and this is what allows us to kind of shift and change and be adaptive in our approach. So I'm hoping all this makes sense, because basically I'm giving you a little bit into that kind of mindset and the methodology behind it before I sort of show you the board, and then the board will make far more sense. So this is the board. This one is one of the first photos. If I'd known I was doing this talk, I would have taken much better photos. To say this, I was sort of taking them for my own benefit, really. But when I started one to many, I really wanted to make sure that I actually attended the sessions, that I had some focus. Now, the board is actually a learning tool. So it's a tool that I use in my workshops. So if you come along to an in-person workshop, or when I do them online, I post these out to teams. And it's a way for you to practically apply some of the mindset and methods so you can actually start using it straight away. But it is a bit of my go-to as well. So when I'm doing something like this, I'll go and raid my stationery cupboard, grab a canvas. This one stuck on my my window. And what I did initially was, it was all about the process. So you can see on the post-it notes there, I've got 1 to 12 sessions and a few other post-it notes as well, in that this was right at the start. So if you imagine each one of those sessions, if you change the word session to sprint, then that shows my different sprints. Now, the left-hand side of the board, this future work area, is basically that. It's my backlog, my future work. So if I had a to-do list, I'd basically, each one of these post-it notes would be an item on my to-do list. If you're a list person, you'll love this. I used to be a massive list person, and this is like, yeah, I don't really write lists anymore, which is great. So this is like the backlog of work, all the stuff that I know that we're going to be doing in one to many. And then the right hand side of the board is my current sprint. So this is the sprint that I'm working on. So you can see I've got some stuff in to-dos, the first session, and then this was stuff that we were doing before we started. So joining the Facebook group, doing the Fabulous Foundations. That's the Facebook group intro, then joining the Facebook down here, and setting up the planner, logging into the OTM site. So just allowing me to break this first session down into smaller to-dos so that I can then plot them through. So I'm just really going to focus on the to-do, doing and done today as things move across. So this, you can use the board at different levels. So for this purpose, I'm using it at a really high level. This is just tracking the process through, helping me to follow the process, take things one thing at a time. Then once we got into the course, then obviously there were lots more things to do. So I'm just going to show you a couple of examples of the board and how that pans out. So what we're basically doing is we're using the board to get everything out of our heads, line that mental load, organise it, make it easy, break it down, and then get it done. Yeah, so this is that kind of short, simple 4-step process to having an agile plan. So my next board, you can see it's starting to get busier now. So I didn't want to overwhelm you and show you my board. Oh, not that one, that board behind, which is literally what I'm showing you. So you know it is real, it's not made up. This is a couple of weeks in. So we are in we're doing the ideal client. So basically, this is where this next step. So I think this is session 1, wasn't it? The big idea. So that has broken down into different elements. So these yellows are where I've broken it down. Then I've got some more oranges because when we started the course, of course, then all of a sudden there were lots of extra goodies to look at. So those have gone onto my board as well. And then also we had a load of extra sessions added in as well. So the pink ones are all the accountability and the funnel sketches and the various different ones. So my backlog has grown, and you can see my session 1 to-dos are all here for me to work on. This is great because what I can do is I just literally don't look at the left-hand side of the board. I'm just really focused on this right-hand side, getting these to-dos done in this sprint, following the process, what I'm working on, and then you can see my dones are starting. So those ones, so that join Facebook group, you can see that that's that one's gone into done now. So I've got this done box, and I'll talk about that more in future sessions if you join them. So this is where I'm not just using it to follow this sort of predictable process, which in effect is down there in simple. This is when I actually start applying it and start trying to do it for my own business. So it's starting to become more complex, more complicated, and even chaotic at times. So when we're thinking about, so when I was doing the going through the course each week, so like this one, session 5, visibility and organic, which is very relevant today because I'm doing this talk, and so when I was doing that, I was thinking about, okay, what are the ideas here, what are the options, how can I try this out, how can I test it out, what could I do this week that's really small just to try this out and test it out and see how it goes, how can I really look at those visibility layers and see which ones would work for me. So it's a really great kind of way of breaking down that big task, that session 5, into lots of small actionable tasks. And I bring it in a cake metaphor here. I love this metaphor. I use it quite a lot to explain how kind of sprints and things work. But I just mentioned the visibility layer. So what we want to do is be able to think of this like a cake. So if you imagine that that your one-to-many is, this cake represents your one-to-many funnel, yeah? And each layer in that cake represents a layer in your funnel. So we've got like your visibility, then we've got like our audience building and our freebie, then we've got our nurturing, then we're launching our offer, then we're actually delivering our offer, and then we're looking at scaling and retaining it. So what this has given me the brilliant opportunity to do is think about this as a slice of that cake. Yeah. So we can think about that first slice being a sprint. Yeah. And I'm going to look at, okay, how can I get through this once? So rather than doing all of it at once, is I'm just taking a slice of it and implementing that. So the visibility, this talk here and now, I am doing the visibility layer on. I am talking to you guys, engaging in you guys. And then what I need to do is then hopefully you'll all sign up to the challenge of my freebie afterwards. Then we'll be able to do the live challenge. I'll send you some emails. I'll then kind of launch my offer and then deliver it. And then I haven't really got as far as scale and retain yet. But that just allows me to run through this process in quite a small way. Yeah. So I'm just doing a slice of it that allows me to test it out, try it out, see what works, see what doesn't work, and take it one step at a time. Because there's a lot of work involved. I mean, when me and Karen agreed this, I was like, yeah, had that really exciting moment. And then all of a sudden it hit me. I was like, hang on, if I do this talk, then I need to make sure I've got my freebie ready. And if I've got my freebie ready and people sign up to the freebie, then I need to be able to send them some emails. Yay, I did that nurturing emails in the process. So I can refine those, I can adapt those. I want to run a live challenge, so I'm going to have to schedule that, get that done. Then I'm going to have those emails for the challenge. challenge. And then actually I need a course that I could, you know, that you could all take if you sort of come along on this journey with me. So actually the last 9 days there's been loads of stuff to do. And I needed to take an agile approach because it felt really overwhelming. So just being able to break it down and take it like one little step at a time, and think about what's like the minimum viable that I need. And then if I get all that done and I've got a little bit of time in between, you know, getting it done and when this talk happens, I can do a little bit more. And sometimes things can wait until later. So I don't need to have absolutely everything done until I get there. So it's like, right, what do I actually need to have done, ready to go for this talk? And of course, there's always unplanned stuff. I had a burst water main this week that flooded my driveway. That lost me half a day. I even had the guy who delivers my hay for my pony rang me at 5 o'clock today and went, "I'm on my way with your hay," and I was like, ah. So you know, that was another thing that I had to, that kind of planning for the unplanned, which again works really well if we're taking an adaptive approach because I can adapt to things and be able to respond to them. Um, so rather than thinking about, you know, trying to eat that cake all in one go, is we're trying to eat that cake in slices, and each one of those slices is a sprint. Yeah. And you can think of this talk almost as, you know, you could say the cake is like all the stuff that I've got, and what I'm doing in this talk is giving you a little slice of that. Yeah. So, and then you can have more cake and more cake and more cake. So you still get to eat all the cake, but we're eating it in slices. Um, and I must remember, because this is my prompt to remember, that I came up with a bit of a birthday offer. It's my birthday on Saturday, and inspired by Lisa, because she did those birthday offers. I literally this morning, because I had a bit of slack, I got things done. So I was like, what could I do? I could do a birthday offer. So I've got that as well, coming towards the end. So really just, you know, taking all this stuff that I've been learning in one to many and trying it out, testing it out, seeing what works. And then building and developing that further. So this is like my current board. So this was taken a couple of days ago, so it has changed a little bit again since. I just wanted to include, you can see I've got like my ducks. I love these ducks, and it's like this almost like metaphor for keeping my ducks in a row, even though one of them is a bit of a pigeon. Yeah, so it's like, okay, I've got this happening in 9 days' time. What am I going to do? So break it all down. So each one of these post-it notes is a break. There's all the things that I need to do. So things like creating the slides, creating the nurture sequence, then over here we've got more of the challenge. Then here I'm actually kind of launching, and then here I've got my sales bit. So talking about the funnel, how I'm working through the funnel, and you can see I've still got my orange session post-it notes as well, because what I'm doing at the moment, well, I'm doing a bit of growing my audience, I'm doing a bit of my lead magnet, I'm doing a bit of my visibility organic, and then next sprint I'll be doing my launch, I'll be doing updating the funnel, planning the course, getting that sales page up and running. And then further across to the left-hand side here, I've got my backlog of things. Just to tell you as well, these things down the bottom, these are like post-it notes where people mention like little tools and things like that. And I'm like, oh, that'll be really useful when I get to that point. So it's kind of capturing those so that I can keep hold of them. And like some of the funnel sketches sessions that I want to look at as well. And I'm using clothes pegs. Friends feed my habit. They buy me magnetic clothes pegs to go on my boards and things. So here you can see all the dones, and this is really nice to celebrate the dones because it kind of sometimes feels like, oh my gosh, I've got nothing done, and then I can look at my done box and go, oh, actually I did get quite a lot done. So that's quite a nice way to celebrate on that. But yeah, this kind of gives you that really starting to get down into the detail of things. So we can use it at a high level, but then we can also use it when we're getting down into those details. So it's like, okay, what do I need to get done before this talk? That's what's here in this right-hand column at the moment. What do I need to get done before next week is going to be this, and then the week after is this, and then the week after that is that. So I've broken it down. I don't feel like I have to do it all at once. I just do it a little bit at a time. And that feels manageable then. I can actually do that. And it gives me visibility. So it gives me a visibility on what's going on, my work in progress. And I really like the physical boards because they limit me. Yeah, because I'm, like I say, shiny things, lots and lots of shiny things. So it keeps me focused and it stops me snowballing because there's only a certain amount of room on this board. So I can't get carried away. Whereas when you're using digital options, they're a bit like limitless. And so it's quite easy to get carried away. Saying that, when you are down in the detail and you're doing things like writing emails, social media posts, those sort of things, a digital board is really, really great. And I know from conversations that I've had with some of you previously that you're quite keen on the digital board aspect of it. So we can migrate this into a digital platform. My favorite is Trello, but there's others out there, Asana, ClickUp. I'm not, I'm a fan of the method Being Agile. It's about working out what tools work for you, really. I love my post-it notes because they're tactile. I can touch them, I can move them around, I can adapt things. I'm a bit of a visual kinesthetic kind of learner communicator, so it works really well for me. But I do make use of digital boards as well. So you can use something like Trello. It's a free tool, so you can get Trello for free, and it gives you 10 free boards. You can use it on your laptop, or you can, there's a phone app as well, which is quite handy. But this is just like a really simple kind of, so what I've done is I've tracked across the boxes from the canvas onto here. And this is a slightly simplified one. So I've got an inbox for new stuff coming in, my backlog. This is like my to-do list, all the things I want to do. Then I've got my current sprint, what I want to do this sprint. So things that are urgent, important, things to do now. Then what I'm actually doing. So at the moment, like in my doing box there is OTM talk because that's literally what I'm doing right now. And then things that I'm waiting on, so things I've started but haven't been able to finish, and then what's done as well. And we can drag and drop these things back and forth. So what I wanted to do, how am I doing time-wise? Not bad. Oh, actually, pretty good. So what I wanted to do is just what we'll do is we'll spin up a Trello board and we'll just create one because I think it's quite nice when you actually see it being done rather than just showing you a still shot of things. Right. So I just need to stop my sharing. Is everybody good while I'm off sharing? Thumbs up. Is it making sense? Yeah. I'm conscious I'm quite excited, which makes me talk fast as well. So thank God for the replay because you can always watch this again. So right, let me share. So actually before I share as well, give me a wave, those of you on video, give me a wave if you do use digital tools, if you kind of like the idea of digital tools. Yeah, so a couple of you, brilliant. So yeah, this was worth including. Brilliant. Right. Okay. Where am I? Boards. Right. So when you catch up. So excuse all my tabs as well. Probably should have shut a few of those, shouldn't I, before we did this? Never mind. Shows I'm busy. So when you sign up to something like Trello, you can create boards. So I've got my one-to-many board there. This was a board that I created when I was working with a graphic designer, various different ones I've got going on. And you can create a board. So I'm going to create a board and it'll just ask you to give it a title. So I'll put one-to-many talk in there so that I know where it is. And I literally just click on create board. Now, I'll often give you a fancy background and you can change that. You can fiddle about with this, but I'm going to not get distracted by the shiny things and just show you things. So while I'm doing this, actually, what would be really great is if you could fire some of the to-dos that you've got at the moment so that I can use these for building the board. So fire across some of your to-dos that you've got in your mind at the moment. And what I'll do is I will add. So what you do is you can add lists. So I'm going to create an inbox, and then I'm going to create my backlog for the future. And then I'm going to do my to-do sprint, and I'm just going to keep it simple, doing and done. So it's really easy to create these lists. And then, oh, brilliant. There's a couple of to-dos here. Great. So in this sense, I would have in my inbox, what you can do now is you can add a card. So I'm going to add a card here and create T and C's and the Canva pages and notes, emails, newsletter. Oh, these are all things I've got on mine as well. Brilliant. Socials, content for the newsletter. Brilliant. Sign up for sub with funnels. With funnel sketches. Oh, it's me to do. Wait, let's see. Oh, Lisa's feedback email. Look at you. I wish I'd signed up in that first 24 hours that I got that. I have feedback envy. It's oh, brilliant. Business name, branding. Right, brilliant. Let's go with that. So thank you, everybody. Fabulous. So in my inbox, I've got all these things that I want to do. So basically, what I do actually is I also have a shiny idea. So I'm going to add that, because sometimes things are just like shiny ideas rather than actual to-dos. But these are all pretty much actual to-dos. So I'm going to drag and drop these across. Like these are all the things that I want to do. So then what I want to do is I want to be able to kind of go, okay, what's like urgent, important? What do I want to get done in the next week? So if I was looking at this, I'd probably say, okay, I'm not a paperwork person. So I'm doing T's and C's at the end. Business name, that's probably quite high up. Branding, that's quite high up. Let's leave those as we are. So this is a nice example, actually, like business name. If I open this card, what you can see is you can add extra things. So we can add things like labels. So I can say, okay, this is like green is going to be for branding. Yeah. And so I'm going to color code that one branding. And I can also add a checklist to this as well. So I can say like, okay, ideas for business name. Yeah, I could do some research. I might be like testing out names. I mean, one thing I would say is don't get too hooked up on your business name. It's something that startups so often get really stalled at. So if you can't come up with your business name, you can keep moving. Yeah, it doesn't have to stop you. Keep moving, because that name may change. It will evolve, and so don't let it hold you back. But we might actually kind of want to break this down further. So I might want to actually create individual post-it notes for this. But for this one, I'm just going to keep this one simple. Then we might have like our socials. So I might have a label for this one. So I might make yellow like my socials. So now I can start differentiating, and when I'm looking at my board, I can see like the mix of work that I've got going on. There's lots of other things that you can do. You can attach people. So if you're working, this is great for like collaborating. When you're collaborating, the digital boards are really good. So you can like tag somebody in it. So I just tag myself in it. And then when I come back, you can see that this graphic now has got, this card has got its yellow on it. So I know it's social. It's got the description. It's got me tagged in it as well. I could add a date on it if I wanted to. So say we want to get this done as well. And we said, I think you said you wanted to do the social so you have content for your newsletter. So actually that would mean that probably the newsletter will sit back here, because until I've decided, until I've done that social and the business name, I probably can't really do my branding and my newsletter, although I could decide on colours and things like that. So this is where it's quite nice to break it down further. But basically then, as I'm working on things, I can start dragging and dropping them. So if you're like me and this is like an extra thing that you're doing, when you get time to do it, you can come to your board, whether it's physical or digital, and you can go, right, okay, what am I doing this sprint? What can I work on? So I'm going to work on this today, and then once I've got that done, I can move it across into done, and then I can go, right, what's the next thing I'm going to work on? I'm working on that. And in here as well, you can add like a description. So you can add descriptions. So like for this, I'll often add a card that's like my social email content. So if I've been using GPT or something like that, I can actually copy and paste it in here, which you can't do with Post-it notes. So that's quite nice. So I can have that content. You can also like attach photographs as well. So you could go in and choose a file and so I just open that one, select that one. Then you can see that it's actually added that graphic to it. And then when I close it, you can actually hide this, but you can see now I've got a bit more of a graphical option. So that just gives you a really quick, you can add conversations on this as well. So if you're working with other people, you can have comments on particular cards as well. So OTMs. So I can save that. And then when you can see I've got a little thing there. This is really good. When I was working with Ali, doing the website and developing the funnel and stuff, it was really good. We didn't exchange emails at all. We just communicated purely through the board, and whichever task we were talking about, that was the task that we commented on. So, if you're already using something like this is really easy that you can set up the board and you can get it going sort of pretty much straight away and start to use it to track those tasks. The thing, like I say, you've got to be careful with is that it can snowball. So you can end up with lots and lots of things, which is why I tend to have ideas. And this kind of, some of my more advanced boards have got more content, more lists, more aspects to them, but I wanted to keep it simple for today so that you've got this I think, yeah, I prefer this to Asana, but each their own. I think, from a creative point of view, it's actually quite a nice, creative, kind of intuitive tool, and you can drag and drop things rather than kind of spreadsheets and things like that. So I find it really helpful for that kind of visualizing things. What else did I want to say? I like it for like capturing ideas as well. I've mentioned that. So, if I've got a particular idea for a social media post, or if I see something, or like those tools and things like that, I can pop those in the ideas and park them. So it's a really nice way to kind of park the shiny things. So again, just because I am easily distracted by shiny things, I will tend to go, oh, shiny, no, put it in there, park it, get back to my doing. What am I actually working on? Yeah, and get it done. So it helps me to keep that focus. So that's a very quick whistle stop sort of Trello. I've got a couple of thank you for those to-dos as well, because that's really good that you can see how you can add those extra bits on there. So let me stop sharing. I have got a couple of screenshots, and then we will be done and ready for questions. So where was I? That one. Get my slides back up quickly. So so I talked about snowballing, and hopefully this doesn't feel as overwhelming as it would have done if I'd have shown it to you at 8 o'clock and you would have gone, whoa, switched off. So this is a snapshot from mine and Ali's board. So you can see here, I wanted to include it because it shows a lot more of the detail in terms of adding those labels and the discussions and things like that. So I'm just zooming here so you can see like these little red boxes or alarms. So there's a comment that I haven't seen or something like that. So it's basically this card has changed. You can see there's a bit of conversation threads going on. You can see some of it's building fun. So basically before I started OTM, I'd kind of gone through a bit of the process, trying to work it out by myself. So basically I sort of built a funnel. I had my courses already. I was working out the tech. I was starting to do email campaigns, marketing, realized I had no idea what I was doing. Somebody recommended Lisa's OTM and gosh, it's been amazing. So it's really helped. So it sort of like restarted the process, if you like. But you can see, you know, there's conversation threads and things like that on there as well. So yeah, it's great for getting down into that real detail, for testing things out, trying things out, but just keep a look at that things don't start snowballing. Yeah, that you don't get sort of so carried away, and that's where you can kind of expand the board more to manage and control that. So that is my sort of whistle stop tour, if you like, of how I've been applying Agile, and sort of more on that sort of planning side of it, that planning part of the loop, how I've been using it. So hopefully I've ticked off all these things, like how am I using it to, you know, make sure I'm attending those sessions, capturing the key points, get that visibility, work at my own pace as well, so I can do things at my own pace. And it's yeah, and I mean it's working. I just find Agile so versatile, and hopefully it's given you a little bit of a meaning behind what is this thing Agile, because you've probably got images of gymnastics or something like that going on when you think of the word Agile, and there is definitely some synergy in there. And so what next? So I've done my little slide following the process. I even managed a QR code. I'm quite pleased with myself, and I tested it and it does work. So you can use the QR code to link through, because it's quite a wordy website address. You can go to the beingagileinebusiness.co.uk/challenge. You can get the freebie, which is my template, and so the board template, so you can reproduce it and create it for yourself. You'll also then get an invite to, I'm going to run a live sort of challenge session. So basically we'll apply this. I'm hoping there'll be a nice group of ATMers so we can actually really sort of get into how we're applying it, but you'll actually create your board, get your board up and running and start using it, because I think actually the guided session would work really, really well for that. So you'll get that plan, you'll get that real-time visibility. So yeah, you'll get your plan, your guided workshop, then the bonuses, the template, the guide. So you'll get my email nurture sequence that takes you through the guide. I'll record it so you can replay it if you can't join. You'll get the opportunity to join the beta and viability group. And then I've also done this birthday challenge. So this is just literally today I've worked this out. So bear with me, because I haven't thought about how I'm going to explain it. But I turned 48 on Saturday. So I have created a code that means you can get the course for 48 quid. So it's a 2-hour evergreen course introduction. So if you want to jump straight into that, but when you sign up, you'll get the code for that. And yeah, but it lasts till Saturday. So again, listening to Lisa, that'll expire on Saturday, and then it will go back to a different price, because I don't want to sell it that cheap. It's worth way more than that, but it's my birthday and you guys have been so supportive, and I kind of, in a way, it's a bit of a thank you, you know, like to for the support and help that you guys have given me through the accountability sessions and things like that. Has been amazing. Some of you know some of the stuff that I've been through, so yeah, thank you. I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, and I have been really, really busy trying to put together all the pieces. So if you spot anything again, please do come back to me. I'd love some feedback on this. But yeah, that's going to be my challenge. So grab a screenshot of that if you need to, because I'm going to stop sharing in a second so we can do the questions. I still feel like I've forgotten something, but I don't think I have. I think I've got it all covered. I've done everything on my board. So That was one. I think one of the questions that popped up was how do I keep my post-it stuck to the board? So one is I use a brand called Snowpake. It's about half the price of post-it notes, but they are just as sticky. But that is a magnetic board. So basically it's been upgraded from being stuck to my window there to being on the board, on the whiteboard behind me. And then I use magnets. So basically magnets to hold those in place where needed. And the clothes pegs as well works really well when you've got like multiples. And you can get like magnetic clothes pegs. So yeah, so that's an example. That's my Tuesday. And well, where's my camera? You can see OTM workshop, 2 p.m. So I've also got a main board, which is you can't see, which basically is my real-time picture of my working life in progress. I won't show you that because it's a very advanced board, but that basically I wouldn't be without it. It tells me what I'm doing when I'm doing it, and it tells me all my tasks and things. And then I have like my spin out boards, which is like my OTM one there. So brilliant. Okay, I've got through it. I think we've got a little bit of time to spare. So let me stop sharing. Let me have a look. Fire through any questions you've got, and I'd love to hear how you found this session. Has it been okay? Have I overwhelmed you, or is it been all right? I kind of tried to balance it. So I said about the post-it notes, yeah. So keeping those magnetic whiteboards are brilliant. But literally, you can start with a back of a sheet of wrapping paper, and some post-it notes. You can draw your own canvas out. You can start mapping it out. You can start playing about with it. Windows, post-it notes stick really well to windows, so that works quite well. But you could invest into like a whiteboard if you get kind of addicted. Take an agile approach. Don't try and do it all at once. Start small, play about with it. If it works, buy yourself a whiteboard. Yeah. And I'm not sponsored by Post-it. I wish I was. I'd be so rich. I never get to, yes, I do that. Start things and never get to finish them. Yeah, I did a personality indicator years ago, and the person doing it turned around to me and went, "You are not a completer finisher." So I'm like, well, what am I? You're not a completer finisher. So I use this to make sure I do finish things and not move on to the next shiny things. Would you do a board for each project you're working on? It kind of depends. Often, yes, I'll do a board that's particularly aimed at. Sometimes, though, I'll have different projects, different colours. So, like on my main board, I've got like orange is life, green is like big stuff, yellow is smaller client stuff. So I'll use different colours in the same way as like I was tagging those different labels in the Trello board. But I think if you find that like one colour starts to become overwhelming, that's usually a trigger to then spin out its own board so that it's got its own dedicated board. So a lot of the time it depends answer, but yeah, it sort of it depends what you're working on, really. Uh, Oh, there are to-dos in that, create terms and conditions and things like that. How do you decide what to focus on and prioritise? Oh gosh, that's a bit of a come to the challenge. So there are a couple of different techniques on the planner. You've just got a really simple sooner or later, urgent, important. And we'll look at those in the challenge, but then in the course there's a whole load more as well. So there's various different ways that you can use to kind of organise and prioritise things, and also estimate how long they're going to take as well, so you've got an idea of what you can fit into the next couple, into your sprint, because what we don't want to do is kind of overwhelm our sprint so we get to the point where we can't get everything done, because that feels crap. It's better to underplan your sprint, get everything done, and then do a bit more so that you feel like you're on the kind of front foot and you're one step ahead. Actually seems more intuitive layer compared with Asana. Yeah, some people are different fans. It's like, we all like different food, we all like different drinks. I think it's the same with software. It's which one works for you. So most of them got free trials, so have a play about with them, and see. Is it similar to Planner in Office Suite? Yes, so Planner, MS Planner is another version of like Trello and Asana, so they're all similar things. MS Planner is I would definitely say go for a Asana or Trello, in all honesty. But if you work and you've got the 365, then you get it for free anyway, so you can use it. But it's not quite as intuitive, doesn't quite look as nice visually. Like Microsoft have sort of ripped the idea from Trello and Asana, but they haven't really brought across some of the user experience and stuff. Um, uh, yeah, so you can use that as well. Can these tabs be minimized so the bulk of text is not visible unless you click on it? So it's just a title prompt, so it's not too busy. Yeah, I tend to end up putting more in that title than I should really. You've got like a description box, so you can just have a really simple title, and remove the attached images and things like that as well. So it keeps it really simple, and layout. But it depends again what kind of person you are. I like to see a bit more of the detail sometimes, and then other times not. My other one-to-many board is quite slick, actually, interestingly. And that's probably because I've had 9 days to do it. So I spun up a board, just to kind of collect some of my content and things. You signed up, yay! Emma, you're my favorite person. Favorite person. Thank you so much. It's I'm just really excited to do it and get some feedback. Oh, you like the idea of the 1 hour workshop for a challenge? Brilliant. That's fab, because yeah, I really felt like I'm going to give you all this. You're going to kind of go, yeah, get really excited. I know from what Lisa said, you're going to download the freebie. 95% of us don't do anything with it. So the 1 hour challenge is the idea that actually it gives you some like focus, accountability. If I turn up to this, it's an hour, I can get it done. So it's like 1 hour, one page, one plan. Yeah. And you can get moving on it. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm quite excited about running that. Oh, you love the session. Thank you. Brilliant. As a planner myself, it's been great. Brilliant. Yeah. So, Karen's like the person that I really want to impress, because she has done project management and stuff. So she knows a bit about Agile. So she knows like how it works. And so I hope you found it really interesting how I've applied it through. It's really useful. Get back into Trello again, yeah, because it can be. I mean, I do like the tactile because it keeps it visible. As soon as something goes on my computer, I feel like it kind of disappears to a certain extent. But the fact that Trello is on your phone as well, that's another nice one, which means I can just capture things because we've always got our phones, haven't we? Enjoyed it, Steph. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Just Zoom user. Thank you. Feeling more enlightened. That's brilliant. And that lightening your load as well. So it's really nice for just getting, because if you're like me, everything's in your head and it's not in a particular order. It's just there and it's ping, 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 pinging all the time. This allows me to get it all out, clear it, focus. Yeah. So if you're kind of like me. If you're doing each model as a sprint, how do you end how do you end up doing the funnel layers, full course and testing in each sprint? If you're doing each model as a sprint, how do you end up doing the full layers, full course and testing in each sprint? So it builds up, if I'm understanding what you're saying. So like initially I did each model as a sprint, and then I did a little bit of practical stuff each time. So it was like writing your bio, creating your freebie, those sort of things. Then when we got to like week 7 or 8, it all went boom. It was like create a course. And it's like, can't do that in a week. Yeah, so it's like then it's sort of drilling it down and thinking about different things, and then basically then kind of building that up. So then I'll revisit and I'll do a bit more on it, and then I'll revisit and I'll do a bit more about it. So this, if you like, is like this will potentially give me my first test run through my funnel. You guys hopefully will feed back to me and let me know what works and what doesn't, or I'll know because you'll either sign up or you won't. And then thing. If I read that another way, like how do you end up doing the full layers, full course and testing in each sprint? I think this might be one for the challenge where you could quiz me a bit more, Kate. Does that, yeah. And or get a copy of the book. I didn't do that, did I? Book. I'm so bad at like that sort of thing. It's, Yeah. And then you can kind of think of that cake as well. Like this is like a little slice of the cake, and then you do the challenge, you get another slice of the cake, and then you do the course, you get another slice of the cake. And then like you sign up to the full lot, there's loads more slices of cake, yeah, that make up like the being agile in business. Brilliant. She's nodding. This is good. Um, Not sure what I get what agile is for. It still fill my usual to-do list and use my calendar, and I have a file for everything. If that works for you, keep doing it. Don't change something that's working. This is like, this is something that you can try and test. Just see where it gets you. Um, but yeah, I mean, sort of agile basically was created by the tech sector because the traditional approaches weren't working. Things were moving too fast. The environment was changing, everything was moving. So, the predictive approach didn't work. We just kept failing at projects. So we needed to come up with a new methodology that allows you to adapt and change as you go. So as the client's coming up with shiny ideas, we can go, yes, you can have that shiny idea, and you can either pay for that or you can swap it out with something else. So I've stopped myself, otherwise I'll go into my full blown thing. But hopefully it's given you a bit of a taster. Being agile in business, that was good, Luke, because I've done that. So yeah, you can get it on Amazon, Kindle or paperback. There's usually some used versions as well. If you're like me, I love a used copy of a book with especially if somebody's annotated it. I know that'll make some people twitch, but I love it. And you can also, that reminds me, you can also get like a print at home version of the canvas. So you can download that. It's 8 pages. You can print it out, stick it all together, Blue Peter style, and do that. So that's another option. And I think I'm at the end of the questions, and we're only at 5 past, which isn't bad. That's pretty good, I think. And I think. Yeah, it's like I mean, I used to say it's like a dynamic to-do list. It's basically like if you're one of these people that just finds that you keep writing to-do lists and then you cross a few things out and then you have to rewrite your to-do list because and then you cross a few things out. And I remember working with a startup once. She said, I'm spending all my time writing to-do lists and getting nothing else done. And so that was one of the first people that when I went, I'm doing this thing called Agile in tech. I wonder if it would help for you. And she was a fashion design business. And we got a board rolling and she was away. She loved it, absolutely loved it. And she was like, I never have to write a to-do list again. Hooray. It was brilliant. Oh, thanks, Lou. I am so excited. And I really am. I mean, I lost my agility, long COVID, life events, my physical, my mental agility went, and it was, and it's almost like I've sort of relearned it, and it just reminds me how brilliant it is and how well it works. And I know how well it works because I've tested it now for 10 years in so many different ways, in shapes and forms, and it does work, and it works brilliantly. And it's, there's way more to it than this. I have given you a little taster today, a little snapshot. I hope I've given you enough that gives you something that you go, I can take that away and use it, whether it's the mindset or the kind of methods and the tools. But the mindset is the real key, is don't try and do it all at once. Break it down. Think of it in that slices of those cakes, and take it a little bit at a time and build it up over time. And it may feel slightly counterintuitive, but actually you'll get there faster and you'll have a better result for it. But it's sort of building it up because you won't get it wrong so much. And if you do get it wrong, you'll fail fast forward. Like failed forward fast, sorry. So you'll fail, but it will only be a little failure. So it'll be really easy to step back and try again. Whereas if you throw everything in and you fail, then you've got to go back and you've got to do everything. And that is what takes time and takes energy.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Belinda. That was fantastic. And a real taster of what people can learn. So hopefully everyone signed up to your offer. And yeah, hopefully everyone will see you again. But thank you very much for joining us tonight and sharing your wisdom. It's been brilliant.
That was something that I meant to do. Hang on, I'll see if I can do it. My touch typing goes out of in business.co.uk. /challenge. Yes, there you go. Right, there's the link in the chat as well, so you can just ping on that. But I would love to see you in the live workshop, and should have some chance for some conversations as well. And ping me an email. You know, if you've got, you know, how can I apply it to this particular thing? Ping me an email, because I love that sort of thing. You know, I do. It's like, can I use it in this? Ooh. And I got totally carried away the other day. We did some heritage and conservation, and it was like, how do we use this to conserve and preserve things? And I was like, spent my whole evening thinking about it and sending ideas. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm sure you can imagine I could keep talking all evening. I'm going to be buzzing. I'm going to be up late tonight.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much again, Belinda, and thanks to everyone for joining us, and see you all soon. Take care. Good night.
Bye.